So I find this good television. Whenever it is, we know what it is he's got. We'll find out. Rex, you're a head coach. You're watching the first half of that game. What are you doing?
You got to bench him 100% because there's one guy.
Oh my God!
I can assure you that absolutely, wasn't ready to play, and that was C.J. Stroud, without question.
Okay, I have major breaking news. I'm just going to break in with it right now. Schefter just ran out of the room, and I know now why he did. My control room may not know that, may not know this yet, but it's been on Twitter for 16 seconds. The Bills have fired Sean McDermott. This was something that we speculated might happen. Schefter, come running back in here if you can.
Yep.
Let's make sure his mic is on.
Yep.
We now understand why you got up and the chair flew behind us.
Yep.
Schefter, tell us anything that you know.
The Buffalo Bills made the decision to move on from Sean McDermott. We talked about it. It's been going around in league circles, the fact that this could happen. It is official. They informed him this morning that they're moving on. Look, in a year where the Baltimore Ravens have moved on from John Harbaugh, we knew that anything was certainly possible. And in this particular case, that's what happened here. They have fired Sean McDermott after 9 seasons. This is a team that struggled to get over the hump, could not do it, had a chance this year. No Patrick Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow in the postseason. Instead, they get 5 turnovers. And people had talked about it on the league. For as much success as Sean McDermott had, they felt like this was a team that sometimes played tight. They played tight. And we've talked about this before, and so the Buffalo Bills made the decision to move on from him. They now will become the latest team in this cycle. That brings this cycle to 10 teams, 10 that have changed head coaches and made that move.
Essentially a third of the league. Outstanding work, Adam Schefter, as always, with the story. We're going to stay here, Eric, for as long as it takes. Again, when I heard the chair fly behind me into the wall that hard, I knew something significant was going on. First blush reaction, Sean McDermott fired in Buffalo. Dan.
Results-based business. I understand the move. I think the world of Sean McDermott. He's a great coach. But when you go into a season that has the second easiest schedule in the NFL, which is what the Bills had this year, Schefter talked about it, you don't have Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, or Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. You would have, if you had given that scenario to Bills fans, you would have had them all booking their tickets to Santa Clara, saying, we are getting to the Super Bowl. They don't get there, and because of that, I understand the move. My mind immediately goes to Brian Daboll. Is that the next move, to bring him in as the head coach? If not, their offensive coordinator, Joe Brady.
I'll just remind everybody, Brian Daboll was the offensive coordinator when they drafted Josh Allen, developed him, was given a lot of credit for the development of Allen into what he is now, which is one of the great quarterbacks of all time. And Daboll fired by the Giants this year. Rex, reaction.
Look, I thought this could have happened 3 years ago, and everybody looked at me like I had 3 heads, and the guy that I thought they would move to or try to make a move for was actually Bill Belichick. And if you want to bring in Brian Daboll, bring him back as the offense coordinator with Belichick as the head coach. I'm telling you, oh, you're crazy. We'll see how crazy I am. We'll see how crazy I am, because I think that's a name to watch. I really do. And why? Bill Belichick, has he proved that he can win with the best player on the planet, best quarterback? Yeah, 100% he has, right? That's what it is. This team gives up over 30 points of playoff loss. Every single game. They gave up 30 again. So, to me, they've underachieved not only – because you have the great quarterback, but you have you have some talent on defense. You give up over 30 points every game in the damn playoff games. So to me, I certainly thought this was a possibility. Not saying that Sean McDermott's not a hell of a coach. He is. All right? I wouldn't be surprised if he's reunited with John Harbaugh with the Giants as the defensive coach. All right? So we'll see what happens.
By the way, he now may get in on other head coach openings. I will say this. There have been teams that have brought up his name to me and said that if he got fired, he would automatically become a part of their candidate pool.
There you go.
So there have been teams that have been narrowing down their searches that I think Sean McDermott will have a chance. I'm not telling you he will, but he'll have a chance to go coach. And by the way, like, the Bills never made it to the Super Bowl. They lost once in the wild card round, 4 times in the divisional round, twice in the AFC Championship game. Never made it to a Super Bowl with Josh Allen. There you go. What do you always say about Josh Allen?
Best player in the world. He is. And look, sometimes expectations, look, you can be good. But when expectations are better than that, expectations were Super Bowl or bust, all right? We saw it for who? Baltimore, fired. All right? Buffalo, fired. All right? So those are the things right there that when you don't meet expectations, all right, things happen in this business.
D. Wood, your reaction, Sean McDermott out after 9 very successful seasons, but not ultimately rewarding seasons in Buffalo.
I'm going to restate what I said in the first hour. In the first hour, you know, while we were talking about the game, I gave a 30,000-foot view. Sean McDermott.
You called it before it even happened.
And Sean McDermott. I just felt like, look, Buffalo dominated the AFC East for 6 years, okay, and had nothing to show for it. And now you're sitting here, you're the Buffalo Bills, you're home.
Joining us, the breaking news from Schefter. Literally moments ago, the Bills have made the decision to move on from Sean McDermott after 9 seasons. One, I think you can sort of compare it to the Harbaugh situation. At some point, if they haven't been able to get over the hump, we got to see if we can figure out someone else who can. The other, however, is the same thing I said in the cases of both Tomlin and Harbaugh. Be careful what you wish for. There are a million jobs open. This is not a year where there are a lot of obvious candidates. You brought up the name Bill Belichick.
Yep.
Let's see if that's something that materializes. Schefter, I'm going to bring up another name here. Mike Tomlin is out of a job.
Yeah.
No chance.
No, not happening this season.
No chance.
No chance. He's not coaching this season.
Okay.
Now, again, what happens with him after the season, that's a whole separate conversation, right? Because, as you know, like Bill Cowher, we kept waiting for him to come back every
Correct.
year, and he never came back.
No, I get it.
You don't know what a coach is going to be thinking. My Tomlin is an option. No, I'm not expecting that.
Okay, so again, because the Bills don't need a coach in 2027, they need one in 2026. So I'm glad that we brought it up. We can move that out of the conversation. Who's the right person, in your opinion? Look, this is about Allen. You've got Josh Allen. Schefter mentioned he's going to turn 30. Basically, he's the midway point of his career. He has demonstrated that he is as good as any quarterback that ever lived. I'm watching the game 50 years. No one's ever been better than this guy, but he has nothing to show for it, and as far as the hardware that separates these guys from one another. Who are we thinking about?
Yeah, Brian Dable and Joe Brady would be the first 2 names that come to my mind. And I don't think it's just about Josh Allen. We've seen Josh Allen be remarkable for the last 5 or 6 years. He has nothing at the end game to show for it. I think Schefter intimating or referencing that there's people around the league that thought this team played tight. They give up over 31 a game on defense in the playoffs. And so it's not just about Josh. It's about really getting that team to play its very best when it's needed most. The team, not just the quarterback. I also sit there and say that there were some moves that could have been made. You know, I watched the Jacksonville Jaguars go and get Jacoby Myers this year, flip their season. I watched a dude open Saturday night playoffs for a 96-yard kick return to Rashid Shaheed that I think got traded for something like a 5th-round pick. So there's certainly some other parts that could have impacted this team in a positive way. But the 2 names, Dable and Joe Brady, would be at the top of my list.
Dable is interesting to me because obviously he had the failures with the Giants. You gotta partner him up with a hell of a defensive coordinator if he does.
I like Bobby
that
Babich,
route.
who's there now.
Well, he is a good coach, but why do you give up over 30 in a playoff game?
True,
He's got to be
true,
part of the problem.
true.
He's gone.
That's fair.
So to me, when I look at it, look, Brian's a local guy. He lives in Buffalo. He loves it. It makes sense. But I'd love to get him as an offensive coordinator. If you can get the greatest coach in the history of our game, and everybody can say that, oh, well, let's pass him by because he doesn't have Tom Brady. Well, he's got a different guy if you get him this coach. And I am telling you, I feel strong about this.
I will say this. For me, like, I'm looking at, look what New England has. You got Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels, and you got Drake May.
Right.
Damn it, your head coach, is he going to be on the level of Mike Vrabel? Because we've seen what Mike Vrabel has been able to do in 1 year in New England. Flip that whole thing around. You better get this one right, or Josh Allen's going to be in a world of trouble.
You think Bill Belichick would be intimidated by Mike Vrabel?
Hell no.
Well,
He ain't going to be intimidated by the devil.
Obviously, Belichick and Vrabel have a whole different kind of history, including the fact that Belichick coached Vrabel, traded Vrabel, and then lost to Vrabel in a playoff game in Foxborough.
Greeny, I got to say, I don't think I've ever seen the league this upside down.
It's crazy times.
I've never seen the league this upside down where you talk about these coaches. Come on.
Here's the thing.
These coaches.
Owners watch what owners do. And owners have seen them not stand by John Harbaugh. They've seen Mike Tomlin step away. Raheem Morris finishes the season on a 4-game winning streak and gets fired. So nobody, or barely anybody, is safe. And when you have a team that has struggled to get to the Super Bowl with the best player in the game, and it's 9 seasons in a row, and you're going into a new stadium, they felt like it was time to
Very
make a
quickly.
change.
You tapped me like you had something else.
No.
Oh,
I'm good.
Okay, the 10 turnovers this offseason. There were 8 last year, right?
I think that's right.
That's 18 out of 32 teams in the National Football League. More than half the teams in the NFL have changed CEOs, because that's what these coaches